So the very last topic for the week is the distance rate time formula. So we know, so far we covered the area formula, length times width, perimeter, which is just the sum of all sides, and now we're going to do distance rate time. These are all really standard basic formulas that most everyone should know. They come in handy, they get used a lot. Distance rate time doesn't necessarily have to be distance either. It can be cost, it can be your income. So it's used like literally so much in so many different kinds of situations. Right. Okay, so let's just think about, let's just do an example. So Flo is rowing in a boat at a rate of 50 yards per minute. Okay, it's actually pretty fast. Right, and she's heading towards a dock that is 800 yards away. Okay, so I always find it's best to like draw a little picture. So you got your little boat, you know, Flo's inside of it. And then we've got the dock over here, right? And we know from the boat to the dock is 800 yards. Okay, so we actually know the distance that Flo is trying to travel. Flo is trying to travel 800 yards, and we know the rate. We know that Flo is going at 50 yards per minute, right? So maybe in like 1 minute, right? It's been 1 minute. Flo has traveled 50 yards, right? How about in 2 minutes? How many yards has Flo traveled? 100 yards, right? How about 5 minutes? Right? What's an easy way to figure that out? Well, 5 times 50, right? 250 yards. So after 5 minutes, Flo has gone 250 yards. So they're 250 yards closer to the dock. But we notice a nice little pattern, right? So if you did the 1 minute, 1 times 50 equals 50. 2 minutes, 2 times 50 equals 100. Okay, so that actually means the distance that Flo travels is equal to their rate times how much time they row. Right, so their rate was 50, and then how much time, you know, is how many minutes. Was it 1, was it 2, was it 5, you know, etc. Okay, and then that'll give you the total distance they traveled. So distance is equal to their rate times the time traveled. Okay, so if we want Flo then to travel 800 yards, right? That's the distance, because we want Flo to get to the dock. We want to know, help them get there, and we know their rate is 50 yards per minute. Then what's their time? How long is it taking them to get to the dock from the starting point? Okay, so we have a simple equation. 800 equals 50 times t. And it's actually really simple. We know how to solve this. 50 divided by 50 is 1. We're left with t. 800 divided by 50 is 4. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4. 8. Why? Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, my brain again. You think I'd have it in my notes, and I assumed I could just do it. So 100, 208 times 2, 16. Oh my gosh. I'm very sorry. I am so brain dead. Okay. 16. Right, so we know that in order for flow to get to the dock, it's going to take them 16 minutes to go 800 yards / get to the dock. Okay, so that's the distance right time formula. Hopefully that's pretty straightforward. Right, so let's just do an example. Like if you are going 50 miles per hour and you traveled 350 miles, how long were you traveling? Okay, so we know the distance, right? Because it's miles right here, 350. We know the rate, miles per hour. That's how you know it's a rate, like it's a distance per time, right? And we want to know the time. It's going to be in hours because they already said in the problem. Divide by 50. So that should give us 7, right? Oops. So time equals 7 hours. Okay, maybe you're given other ones. So maybe you traveled for 6 hours, a total of 500 miles. Right, you went on a little road trip, you went 500 miles. What speed were you going? Or what was your average speed? Okay, so this time we know the distance. I don't know my rate, right? That's my speed. I don't know my rate yet, but I do know I was traveling for 6 hours. So how fast was I going? Oh, what did I do? 500. Let's change this to 600. It's 600, sorry. Because then that's going to be really easy. I divide by 6, right? Whoa, I was going really fast. I was going 100 miles per hour. So that's why I traveled 600 miles in just 6 hours, because I was going 100 miles per hour. I do not recommend doing that. I changed it purely because I wanted easier math in my head. But hopefully you get the idea, right? You might have instead, like, you're driving, or actually, let's not do distance anymore. Let's do a cost. So let's say you get paid $15 per hour, right? So that's a rate. Okay, you get paid $15 per hour and you work a 40-hour work week. Now, what is your income for the week? So see, it doesn't always have to be distance. As long as you have a rate and a time, then you can combine, you can multiply them together. And this time, instead of having a distance, you're going to have a total amount of money, right? Because we're using money here, right? So we want your income. We know you got paid at a rate of $15 per hour and you worked for 40 hours, right? Work full time. So then for the week, your income was, I'm just about ready to give up on all this with my math in my brain. And I can't even find my calculator. I left my phone. Wow, where is my calculator? I never use it on my iPad, so I don't even know where it is. $600. Why did you do that? Always have your calculator on you. So that means for the week you make $600. Okay, so we use the distance rate time formula, but to figure out your income, right? And you can do that too with yours, but then you have to, like, we also have some taxes are removed, or all that kind of stuff. Maybe you get tips too, but then usually if you're working a server job, then you get paid less, which is messed up. You shouldn't have to rely on tips, but yeah, basically all of those kinds of income ones are just based on like your hourly rate times, it's based on the distance rate time formula times hours worked, but it'll be like maybe modified minus income tax, even though we don't have income tax, but you know what I mean, right? Minus income tax, maybe minus your bills, right? But then maybe you also get tips, right? And that would be like your total income after bills and everything, right? This is how much maybe the money that you have left over to spend to just have fun, right? So it's how much you make minus how much has to go to taxes, how many has to go to bills, but you can also add how many tips you made, how much goes, you have to subtract grocery, right? But essentially these kinds of budgeting is pretty much just the distance rate time formula, right? So it's a really useful formula used for so many things. And yeah, so that's kind of where we'll end, but you can solve equations now, the distance rate time formula, and how to use that to solve equations. And